Hello everyone, my name is Summers. I'm a part of the team at Local Matters, and tonight we are going to be cooking black-eyed pea and collard green tacos with apple and avocado salsa. This is a really fantastic recipe because it's super easy, all the ingredients are super affordable, and you can substitute a variety of things. Basically everything in that title I just said you can substitute for something else. So it's a really great option right now if you're trying to avoid going to the grocery store a bunch, trying to stay in your house, or if the items you want aren't available at the grocery store. This is a really great recipe to play around with, get creative with. We're gonna start by preparing the black-eyed peas for the tacos. I had dry black-eyed peas, so I prepared those a little earlier just by soaking them in water. Canned black-eyed peas are great, and as I mentioned, you could use really any other type of legume. You could use black beans, you could use pinto beans, you could use lentils, you could use even rice if you wanted a different base. So you could use virtually any base, but today we are going to be using black-eyed peas. So to start, I'm just gonna add a little flavor into those black-eyed peas. I'm gonna begin by putting a little bit of olive oil in the pan. You could use any other sort of neutral cooking oil that you wanted to use. And I'm going to saute some onion, get some flavor going in that. So I just have it was one small onion diced up here, really small, letting that oil heat up a little bit. Gonna get those onions in there. So I'm gonna let those get really nice and flavorful. Let those saute, get a little bit of color, so I'll let those cook for about 3 to 5 minutes. Also, the collard greens I actually prepared ahead of time because it's sort of takes a little bit longer, and I wanted to get you guys going on making the actual tacos. But so I just bought a huge bunch of collard greens. You could use kale, you could use spinach, you could use any other dark leafy green vegetable that's available at the store. It's a really great source of iron, and it tastes good. So this was one huge bunch. I just removed the stems, chopped it up roughly into pieces. Then I sauteed it in a little bit of olive oil, added some vegetable broth, which you could use water if you don't have vegetable broth on hand. The vegetable broth just gives it a little more flavor, but really the point is just to have some moisture in there to help them soften. So cook them with some vegetable broth, some garlic, and a little bit of salt. I covered them for about 10 minutes, and then I cooked them for another 5 minutes uncovered, just so that they would absorb all that vegetable broth, get nice and soft and ready for our tacos later. So here are my beans that we're gonna add in a little bit. This is a little more than 2 cups of black-eyed peas. So it'd be like 2 cans worth. 2 cans of black beans, 2 cans of pinto beans, a couple cups of lentils, whatever is available to you would be great. If you had those canned black-eyed peas, you would just rinse them off, drain them, and then they would be ready to go. But here are my black-eyed peas. So just sauteing up that onion, getting some flavor in there. And then after that onion gets some flavor, we are going to add some spices in there. This is some coriander, some cumin. It's 1 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and then 2 heads of garlic chopped up. Okay, so that onion is starting to get soft. I'm gonna go ahead and add the coriander, the cumin, and the chopped up garlic. Get some flavor in those onions. Cook that for just a minute. And I'm noticing my pan is a little bit dry, so I'm gonna add a tiny bit more olive oil, just a little splash, to keep things going. Okay, now I'm going to add in those black-eyed peas. I'm really making sure I mix that all up. And I'm actually sort of mashing the black-eyed peas up a little bit as I cook them, making sure that they get nice and soft, sort of making them a little bit more consistency of something you want to eat in a taco. So this recipe also calls for adding some hot sauce. I think the recipe calls for Frank's Red Hot. I only have sriracha, so I'm using that. If you don't like things spicy, leave it out. You can always add some on top at the end if you would prefer, but I'm gonna put in 2 tablespoons of Frank's, or of sriracha. And then I'm also going to add 1 cup of vegetable broth. Again, if you don't have vegetable broth, add in water, add in chicken broth if you have that. It doesn't need to be broth, this just gives it a little extra flavor, but the point is you just want a little more moisture in there. So I'm just really trying to mix that all in, get those flavors, the onion, those spices, the garlic, the hot sauce, and then the broth everywhere, and kind of, again, mashing those peas a little bit. I'm going to take a fork here in a minute to make sure I mash them a little more. So this is what my black-eyed pea mixture is looking like right now. I'm just going to let that sit for about 5 to 7 minutes. Let it absorb some more of that flavor. Let it cook down a little bit, absorb that vegetable broth. And then in the meantime, we are going to assemble the apple and avocado salsa. So I also already cut up the ingredients for that. That's super simple as well. The recipe calls for a Granny Smith apple. I had a Honeycrisp. I'm using that. You could use anything else. You could use other fruits. You could use mango. You could use pineapple. You could use whatever suits your fancy. I think the apple is nice because it gives it a little bit of a crunch to contrast the avocado, but again, you don't need to do that. And I only had half an avocado, so I'm using that. And then we have some 3 green onions sliced right here, and then some cilantro sliced right here. And then the other ingredient we are going to add is 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So that was juice from 1 medium to large size lemon. So I'm just going to put this all in one bowl. So there's the green onions and cilantro, some avocado, and then all that apple, and then that lemon juice goes in. I'm just going to mix that all up. So that lemon juice, that acid, helps keep everything really fresh, balances it really nicely, and will help it store. So you could store it, you know, you could make this earlier in the day and then have it for dinner, or you could even make it tonight and then have it again tomorrow. That lemon juice just helps keep things fresh, balances things. I'm also going to add a little pinch of salt to really bring that flavor out. This is what we have here for that sauce so far, or salsa rather. Our black-eyed peas are cooking up really nicely. Put a little more salt in there. And this black-eyed pea mixture is another thing you can make ahead of time. It will keep for several days. You can eat it throughout the week, and it'll store well because it has that moisture in it. So if you just put it in a container, it'll be ready to go if you wanted to assemble the tacos. And then you can make the salsa fresh to make it really nice and light. I also have some of these just standard little corn tortillas. You could get little whole wheat ones, whatever you can find in your store. And then I have a tiny bit of crumbled cotija cheese. You could use any cheese at all. You could not use cheese, you can leave it off. You could use cheddar, you could use feta, you could use whatever works for you. And again, cheese is totally optional. Okay, so this mixture is pretty much ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and assemble those first few tacos. You get 2 corn tortillas. Put a little scoop of black-eyed peas on there. Put some collard greens on top. We'll put a little bit of our apple avocado slaw. And then a little bit of cheese. Okay, so here we have 2 of these tacos. They are so delicious, so easy, so quick. Preparation doesn't take a long time. If you're missing something in the recipe, don't worry about it. Just anything similar can substitute. And you don't need to eat these as tacos. You could eat these as a side dish. And that salsa would be amazing on anything. So here's a quick short cooking at home video with Local Matters. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy and enjoying experimenting with some new recipes. We will link this recipe to on our page in the video so that you can make these yourself at home. And please post it, tag us in it. Let's see what you try and give us some feedback. Thank you.